Prashant, you can share your screen and put the opening slide. Yeah, all good. Hey, good evening, everyone. We have joined already. We'll wait for a few more minutes for more attendees to join, and we'll kickstart at 4:03. Folks, we'll wait for 2 more minutes, and we'll be starting in at 4:03.
Pramod, are you able to see Prashant's screen? For me, it's black.
Prashant, we can't see your screen.
Well, first one, it was visible. Now, I think
let me reshare again.
Yeah.
Can you see now?
I think you should share the desktop, whole desktop.
Yeah,
now it is visible. Yeah. We have more attendees joining, so we'll start in next in 1 minute. Awesome. It's 4:03. Let's kickstart. Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to Ozonetel Masterclass. And to introduce myself, I'm Pramod, and I'll be your host for today's masterclass session. Since we are kicking off our masterclass as a program today, I would like to take 2 minutes of yours to introduce you all to this program. Well, masterclass, it's a series of virtual sessions that are focused towards techno-functional topics that are very much necessary to run our contact center businesses and efficiently. During this During this program, we will be discussing various topics and also we will try to showcase the demonstration of most used scenarios in our contact center world. Having said that, today's session is on IVR Designer, as you all know. And before we kickstart, I want to take this opportunity to let you guys know that IVR Designer is available on your CloudAgent portal, and you can start accessing and creating your workflows or processes by yourself going forward. The details on how to access and how to start creating the processor workflows, we will be dealing with that in next few minutes. Prashant will be taking through that. So before we start today's session, to set few ground rules, our session for today has been planned for 50 minutes, where first 40 minutes will be the demo and discussion of IVR Designer itself, and we will keep the last 10 minutes for question and answer session. Attendees are all put on mute, and we request you to post if there are any questions or the queries regarding the tool or anything regarding today's topic in your chat window. We'll try to answer all those questions in our Q&A section. With this, I will hand it over to Prashant, who is our VP of Products, and he will take all of us through our session today. Prashant, please take it over from here, and probably why don't you start by introducing yourself?
Okay, thanks, Pramod. Hi all. My name is Prashant. Some of you who have been customers with Ozonetel for a long time might have seen me in a different role, heading support or delivery. I've been with Ozonetel for 12 years now, since day one of the CCAS product, which all of you are using. Currently, I've taken over the role of product management over the past 6 months, and we're trying to bring consistency and better user experience into the product. And as part of that, we have started this masterclass series. Like Pramod said, this is going to be a series of webinars where we talk about industry standards, how you can use contact centers better, but also how do you do better with Ozonetel software. Okay, you might not know some features which are in the product, so that's what we will be doing in these masterclass sessions. And today's topic, like you can see here on the slides, is about the IVR Designer. Let's move forward. So broadly, this is the structure we wanted to present and go through. What we will do is we will give you a quick run through of how the IVR Designer tool works, like how we say drag and drop, how do you connect the nodes, all of that. Then what we'll do is we'll focus most of our time here on the most used scenarios. Based on past experience, what we see is most of the contact centers are actually falling into these scenarios only. So while there are certain advanced integrations with APIs and all that we do through the designer, today's discussion, we will just focus on basic IVRs. How do you set up things on your own? And one big use case is how do you change your office hours, holiday settings? If you want to change audio files, how do you do this day in, day out? Even if Ozonetel's team has set up the designer for you, still you can go ahead and make these changes if you have access to the designer. So we'll focus on these topics for the day. So I might come back to this slide just to refer if you've covered most of these topics we have written down here. And Q&A, while we have put it to the end, you can start typing out your questions. If it is relevant and we see we can cover it in the session itself, we will try to do that. Okay. So on to the product as such. I think most of you are familiar with the admin logins. I'm assuming most of you are admins for the contact center where you're accessing dashboards or reports, or maybe you're adding agents and managing the contact center. So once we enable IVR Designer, there are two things which will happen. One is in your configurations dropdown, you should see IVR flows as a page. When you click that, you will see this page which I am showing you. The second thing would be that in your campaigns, for example, inbound campaigns, you should start seeing this IVR flow column where you can click and start editing any of your existing IVR designs. Okay. So if you're changing a IVR design for a particular campaign, you can always do it from the campaigns page also. If you're trying to create a new one, that you can always do only from the configurations page on the IVR flows page. Okay. So like I said, let's go back to the slide. We'll quickly cover the run through of the product first, okay, of this designer itself. So let's say you're a new user and now you want to create a new IVR design, right? First thing is you need to create a flow name and put it down into this list. Only then you can go ahead and design it. So you want to add a IVR flow. This is the plus sign. I think this is how it is on most of the pages. So you're used to this experience anyway. So click on it, put a name for it. So let's say this is a masterclass demo, and this is an IVR. Okay. Ignore this custom and transfer options for now. I'll explain these in the end. Okay. Just focus on the first two fields. So give a name and select IVR here and save it. Okay. Now, once it's saved, you can search for it. You can see that your flow which we have created just now, it's saved. Now I can go ahead and start designing the IVR in whichever way I want to. Okay. So when I click the design element, it opens up in a new tab. Sometimes in some machines you've configured for a new window itself. So it opens up as a new window. And this is how it would look like when you open up a new IVR. It's a plain blank screen with various nodes that you can see here on the right hand side. Okay. Now any of these nodes that you want to use from the right hand side, just click, select it, and then drag it to the left side, and that way you get it here into the flow. Okay. So for example, if I just want to drag 3 or 4 nodes, right, this is how you do it. Okay. And you can see there are dots where you can connect these nodes. The start node is where the user starts. When somebody calls in, this is where it's starting. So I can always connect it to a calendar. We'll explain each of these nodes in detail anyway. Then you can connect it to the next node and the next node and so on and so forth. So this is the basic way to connect and create a designer. And you have a save element here on the top. So if you click save, it saves the design, whatever design you created. Okay. This is to just zoom the page. If you want a bigger icon or image, you can click and zoom in or zoom out. Okay. If you're operating out of different geographies, you want to set a time zone for the IVR, you can just go ahead and select from the global clock that we provide. Okay. So only this IVR design will work with that time that you have provided here. Okay. This is for advanced API integrations. We'll discuss this in the second masterclass. We are not covering the API integrations as such in this topic. Okay. And that's a basic layout. Then the other layout is, of course, you want a bigger screen, you can always minimize. When you hover on any of these, you can see what each of these nodes does. And over a period of time, as you use it, you get used to the node, so you know which is what. So it's easy. You can just drag the node and you can fill it in here. Okay. So this is a basic layout of how the designer works. So that's the run through about the tool itself. Okay. Now, what we would do is let's try to create a IVR design. Okay. So we will not save this at all. I didn't save, as you can see. I'll just close that. Go back to design. Now, if you have not saved anything, it doesn't save anything. Okay. So unless you click save, whatever you designed is not going to get saved. Typical, very standard behavior, right? Okay. So typically, if you take any business, right, most of the times you are looking to check for officers. That's something you do in a call center quite often, right? So the calendar node is what you would be using. Okay. The calendar node allows you to do two things. Okay. One is you can have a day-wise time. Days are Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, so these are weekdays. And against that, you can put a office timings from what time to what time does your contact center run. Okay. Then there is something called as date-wise routing. This is for setting holidays as such. So you can actually go ahead and maybe put a date and what you want your office hours to be on that particular day. And the way our logic works, we always override the daily logic, the day-wise logic with the dates. So if let's say 22nd of June is a holiday, on 22nd of June, which is a Thursday, these office hours would not apply, but whatever logic you've applied for that one day here, that's what would apply. Okay. And usually I don't prefer doing both in the same calendar. I typically take two and I rename them. So when you, okay, and one thing, when you want to edit the node, double click on it. That's how this window is opening up. Okay. So here I can say this is holidays. Okay. And update the tag. That way I know this is a holidays tag. You can see it's updated here on the top. When I click that, I can go and put all my holiday dates here. For example, like we said, 22nd June, it's a full day holiday for my business, for example. Okay. Now, what I can do is I connect the user's journey here first. I'm checking if it is a holiday. If it's not a holiday, then go and check my office hours is what I'm saying. Okay. And of course, if it is a holiday, then you can create a separate logic and separate flow. And here, because I want to call this as office hours, I'll rename it as well. Okay. So now I have a holidays box. I have a office hours box. In the office hours box, I can add my office hours. For example, I can say my office works from 9 a.m. to maybe 11 p.m. Okay. And this is only Monday to Friday. So I've removed Saturdays and Sundays. Now I can go ahead and add a different logic for Saturdays and Sundays. It's up to you how you want to do this. So Saturdays and Sundays, you can say my office only works from 11 a.m. to maybe 6 p.m. for example. Okay. And if you are a food outlet, your business runs in split hours, for example, you don't take calls during lunch hours. What you can do is you can split your office hours separately. Like I can say my office works from 9 to 12:59. Okay, which is till about 1 p.m. Okay, and this is a 24-hour clock. Then I can split the time and I can say we work from 1400 hours to 11 p.m. again. Okay. So the calendar for the same day, you can have multiple times for the same day. Of course, not overlapping. But if in case you have a gap in the day, you can split like this and do it as well. Okay. It's completely up to you how you set this up. So let's go back to our example of setting office hours from 9 to 11. Okay. And Saturdays and Sundays, we work from 11 to 6. And that's all you have to do here. Okay. So that takes care of my office hours. Now, if office hours are met, typically, um, if you go back to our use case, right, we're talking about the first one. You want to set a welcome message, then maybe look at how you want to give some options to the user. So let's go back here. Now there are two nodes you can see here. There is a menu and there is a play node. Okay, so very minor difference here. Both have the play option. So in the play node, I can double click and add a message. And standard options we provide. You can use text and audio. Built-in, we'll leave it for the advanced version masterclass 2. So I'll discuss only text and audio versions. So if you select text, it means that you can type out any text. Okay, and that is played to the user. Okay. If I select audio, I can upload any audio file I want from my computer. Okay. If you're using an MP3 file, we can play it by default, no formatting needed. If you're using a .wav file, you need telephony formatting. So that's something which our support team can help you with, or you can look at our website and do the formatting. But usually, if you have an MP3, just upload the MP3 and it plays back straight away. Okay. So I would suggest just use an MP3 file and it would work straight. Now these are two options to playing. Okay, but what if you're asking the user press 1 for sales, 2 for support, something like that? How do you accept user inputs? That's where the menu node kicks in. So if you are also asking user to enter some inputs, you won't use the play node. Let me delete that. we will use the menu node. So in the menu node, when I double click this, in the options, you still have the same UI for text and audio, same as in the play node. So I can still go ahead, say, welcome to Ozonetel, press 1 for sales, 2 for support. Okay. But now I have to accept, if user enters 1 or 2, I need to accept these as well as a business, right? So that's what this page supports. So you can say 1 and 2 are the options we are expecting. Okay. So these are the only two valid inputs. And then there are conditional nodes for if user input doesn't match to this, or if user doesn't enter any input, what do you do? Okay. But user not entering anything, you have to time out and play back the message also sometimes, right? So those are the options you get here in the default options. So usually our default is to 3 invalid tries. Okay. The termination character is pound sign, which means you enter 1 in pound, the system knows you've entered the input. DTMF length, I am accepting as a default 1. If you have a bigger input, you can increase the length. Okay. But if you have increased the length of the DTMF, which is like you're asking user to enter 100 or 108, these kind of numbers, which is a 3-digit number in the example. So that's my maximum length I'll accept. But what we're doing here with the timeout is between 2 digits user enters, what is the time you want to give, the gap you want to provide. Okay. And the same gap applies also after end. Like I pressed 1, after how much time will the system know stop and take 1 as an input and go ahead? That's 4 seconds right now. Everything is in seconds or units here. So if you want, you can reduce this and say 2 seconds is my timeout once for the user to enter it. Okay. Now after those 2 seconds, if user doesn't enter anything, then you can decide what you want to do here. Like I'm playing an audio file, or you can just put in your text as well. Okay. So you can delete this and put a text as well. We have some default audio files that you can use and play back to the user, or upload your own audio files on this. I would say first play around with the options page and the DTMF inputs, then worrying about invalid and no inputs for now. Then you can start looking at invalid inputs, no inputs, all of these options also. Okay. Now, in our example, we put this text. We told the system we want to accept 1 and 2. I'm going to update and save this. Now, the moment I save it, you can see in the menu node, I have options 1 and 2, which reflect here. And if it is officers, I want to play this to the users. Now, if it is not officers, if you're not asking user to go somewhere else, or you just want to disconnect, all you can do is play a message and disconnect it. So if it is not officers, I can simply say, sorry, currently we are closed, and please call during. We are closed currently. Our office timings are so and so. Okay, so I'm not typing the entire text. Uh, in, but that's something you can play, and you can do the same thing even here if it is a holiday. So you can have a common message for both holidays and after office hours, and play that message to the users. That way you have one single node where you can go ahead and change the message depending on what you want to do. Okay. Now you played this, user has entered 1. Now what? We can look at complicated ideas where you're doing multi-level, but let's take the simplest flow. You just pressed 1 or 2 and you want to connect to an agent now. That's where the transfer node comes in. Transfer node is basically selection of a skill. So you're telling the system, okay, if user entered 1, go to this skill and check for agents. Okay. So I'm connecting 1 and opening this up. So this is an option where you can play messages like audio recording. Your call is being recorded for training purposes, because these are some messages you have to play from a regulation point of view. You can always use text if you want to. This is a default audio file we have placed here. You can always delete that and upload your own audio file, your own branded recordings. Okay. Now, if you don't want this at all, some businesses said we don't want this at all. Our agent says that in the script. So you can always go ahead and remove that complete thing. Now, the main thing here is to select a skill where you want to route this call. So if you already have created skills in your system, like in this system, if I go to skills, you would see there are a lot of skills we have created here in our demo account. So in our existing skills, you should see the entire list here, and that should appear. For some reason, it's not appearing. Now the backup plan here is I can always type the text. So I can go ahead and say general, okay. And I have a general skill here created already. If you look at it, so this is where the calls are going to, and I have my agents, my phone numbers, my fallback rules, all of that set up here. I won't get into this part of the product. I'm assuming all of you know about this. So once you put the skill name, then you can say, do you want to record the call? Yes or no. Default is set to yes always. Okay. You can always say, no, I don't want to record the calls. None of the calls transferred on this option will get recorded if you do this. Okay. Then there are other advanced options. The only option I would like you to know is the dial timeouts. How much time do you want to try one particular agent before checking for another agent in the ACD? That's what the dial timeout is all about. So usually some businesses want it 30 seconds, but people where there is a stringent SLA on the agents, some customers have said because agents are on WebRTC right now, make it 15 seconds or 10 seconds only. And the agents have to be alert enough to pick these calls, or their performance is measured based on number of calls picked. So this is up to you how you do it. We default it to 30 seconds always. Okay. There are a lot of advanced options here. Again, leaving it for masterclass 2. This is a basic setting that is good enough for you to just go ahead and create this. Now, if you pressed 1, I'm transferring it to a skill general. If you press 2, for example, okay. Now here I can just go ahead and say I want to send to support as an example. Okay. So again, same options, and I update the tag, and I have both my options enabled here. Now comes the option of what do I do if user has not entered any input, or whatever user is entering is not matching my options. Maybe I want to default it to my support team. So I just put all of these conditional settings back to support. Okay. With this, I have my basic IVR flow ready, where I have a office holiday hours, I have my office hours, I have a basic menu system in place, and I have my skills configured for the both the options user is playing. Now I go ahead and save this option. Okay. Now once I've clicked save, you can close this. Let's go back to IVR flows, and if I go back to the design, you will see whatever I have saved is here. Okay. Now, but you have created an IVR. How do you apply this, right? That's where going to the campaigns becomes necessary. This is step 2. So any of the campaigns where I want to add this IVR, okay. For example, let me take the last campaign here. Okay. I want to change this IVR. You would see IVR flow as a drop down in the campaign. And here I can search for the IVR we have created just now. So select that and save it, and the campaign gets updated with that IVR flow. In case I want to just edit it here, like I said in the starting, you can just click here. It opens up the designer here for any designer that you want. Like I can go to any of the other ones here. You can see we've been trying different things within this, but yeah, you can go ahead and edit any of this. Okay. Now let's go back to our checklist. Okay, so we have created a standard IVR with a welcome message, and we've transferred to the agents as well. Okay, now the variations. Okay, okay, Prashant, you've created the IVR. Now I want to edit this. What is the safest bet? You know this is the IVR to edit. Okay, but you don't want to risk editing it, because anything you do here, this is happening in production directly. Okay. Status check. Pramod, you can still hear me, right? Just trying to see if the audio is
Yes,
clear.
Prashant.
Okay.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, great. So now I want to edit this, but I want to also be safe. I don't want to. Don't want to mess up the production IVR. So what you have to do is click on the flow name. We allow you to save a copy of the IVR always. Okay. So you can default click on save copy. Now, if you search for the masterclass demo, you would see we have created a version of it with the timestamp. Okay. I can always click on it and rename it. I can call this as a duplicate and put a date to it if I want to. Okay. That saves this replica of this IVR here. Now I can decide to edit the duplicate or I can edit the main one directly, and this impacts production. And in case I mess up something, I always can go back to the campaign and point it back to the duplicate again. Okay. So it's your choice whether you want to edit the duplicate or the primary IVR itself. Okay. But anything you're doing, if this I like this masterclass demo is assigned to a campaign right now. If I go ahead and make any changes here, those changes are directly reflected on the next call. The moment you hit save, the next call onwards, these changes have been deployed already. Okay. So usually the best practice is to make changes on the duplicate, have a test number, test campaign where you can call in and check that out. Once you are convinced everything's working okay, then you can move the go to inbound campaigns and replace the IVR there. So you can change the IVR to this particular name, and then your new changes would be applicable. Okay. So this is one safe way to make changes into your production system. Okay. Now, uh, there are certain businesses where you don't want any IVR. You know your agent is the best guy who can talk to your customers. So you don't want anything except office hours probably. After office hours, I don't want anything to be played. I just want to connect an agent, nothing else. Okay. So you if it is not office hours, maybe you still keep playing a message. But if it is office hours, you just want to connect to a skill directly. Okay. So let just to remove confusion, right? Let's say I have a transfer node. I directly connect it here. And let's say you're a 24/7 contact center. You have no holidays, no office hours, nothing. So then what happens is you don't even need the calendar node. All you need is the start node and directly connecting to one particular skill. In this case, we connected into general skill. But this is all it takes. So a customer calls in and you're directly in the ACD checking if an agent is free and connecting that customer. So if that's your business metric, this is how you would do it. Then there's no need for any other nodes, any of these flows or anything else. All you're doing is just transfer to the skill. That's all you do. Okay. Going back, multi-level IVRs. Okay. So I'm assuming some of you would have figured this out by now. Multi-level IVR is not so complicated in this sense, because once I have a menu working here, right? If user entered 1 for sales, if I want next level IVR to be played, all I have to do is now drag another menu node. Okay. Now point option 1 to this menu. And now I go back to the same workflow. I double click that. Now I start typing out any message I want. Now he's entered sales already, right? So I want to know, thanks for your inquiry. Do you want a credit card? If I was a bank, press 1 for debit card, press 2. Let's assume I only give debit cards and credit cards. So again, I have options 1 and options 2. So once I add them here, option 1 and click plus, it's entering. Now, because we are talking of a bank, right? What if you're asking user to enter his date of birth or something else to validate? You don't have options 1, 2. Maybe I'm saying, please enter last 4 digits of your credit card here. So that's where you use this on valid DTMF entry. Because here I don't know what user should enter, because credit card 4 digits can change for, it's different for each card, right? But whatever user has entered, it's valid digits, and valid digits is nothing but the options we have given. So I'm saying up to 4 digits. So if somebody enters 5, that's an invalid digit entry according to the config. But otherwise, the system will take that, and whatever steps you do, like let me keep that valid digits option also here. So we're discussing two. One is the multi-level IVR, which we created anyway. Now, if it's valid digits, like you've asked user, that's a different use case, but I'm combining both here. If on valid digits you want to do something else, then that's all you do. Okay, so maybe it's an API hit, then you come back and create something else. Okay. So, but this is how you can create a multi-level IVR as such. Then on one, do you want to create another level of menu? All you do is drag this up. If you're adding an agent or connecting to an agent, all you do is drag a transfer node and now connect to the transfer node and select the skill. So this is all that's needed to create a multi-level IVR. And of course, we had connected to direct agents. Now let's go back to our original flow. I go through office hours. If it is office hours, I go through the menu. And in the initial menu, if it is 1, I'm doing this. If it is 2, maybe I don't have a second level menu here. I directly connect to agents. Because it is support, I want to connect to agents directly. Okay. One gap, I didn't mention this. I've been telling you, you can type this out. But how do you play this, right? We use text to speech engines. At the start of the node, double click the start node. You can select the text to speech engine here. So mostly, of course, we are in India, so we might want to play English. We also allow Hindi as such. Other regional languages, if Google or Amazon supports, we can enable. But right now in the dropdown, we support these two. So in our use case, it is Indian English, and I can define with speed. Usually 3 or 4 is better. I would prefer 3, which is slightly slower, but in terms of speed of speaking from the text to speech engine. But these 3 and 4 speeds work better, and you can select the text to speech engine here. Now, just remember that. Okay. So now that I've selected Google Indian English, you know all the messages I'm typing out, they will play in Indian English only. Okay. Now I go ahead and save this. So my IVR is saved with all the changes I've done, including this multi-level IVR. Okay. So let's go back to our checklist. Yeah. I think I've covered copy and existing IVR flow much before already. We will look at the frequent changes that you do. Okay. So typically what we have seen is there are 2 or 3 things which you would most frequently do. One is holiday settings, like you want to add a particular date as a holiday. And based on that, you want to play something to the user if it is a holiday. Okay. So you can have 2 nodes like I suggested, or you might have only one calendar node depending, but either ways click on the date wise routing and you can add the holiday date. Like for example, we know August 15th is a holiday. Okay. So I can select August 15th and add it here. Okay. But for August 15th, which is the only holiday which is coming up next, I can always change my message and say we are closed currently due to Independence Day. Okay. Or you can, instead of saying sorry, you can always say wishing you a happy Independence Day. So you type it out, or if you have a recorded prompt, much better, you can play your own branded message. Okay. But either ways, whatever you want to play to the user, just type it out and update the tag, and that's your holiday configuration. Okay. And like I said, we'll go back to that. You always create a backup in case you just want to be very, very safe on what you're doing in your IVR design. So always create a copy. To create a copy, you click on the flow name. Then you can always click save copy here. Okay. Then the second most frequently done thing is changing of office hours. Sometimes you're having an offsite or you're having a team party right now you're all going out for lunch and you want to close your call center temporarily for next 2 hours. Okay. So what you can do is you can either edit this directly. Okay. So this is live. This is a working IVR right now, and today is Tuesday, right? So I remove Tuesdays from this flow. Just add Tuesday as a additional node. Okay. And I would set my office hours from 9 a.m. to, let's say, 1 p.m. Okay. And the second half is all out of office for everybody in the support. Usually doesn't happen, but let's say that's the case. Okay. So once you update this, your office hours have changed for Tuesday. It's only till 1 p.m. And obviously it's going to the if not found, which is out after office hours message. You can change your message here. Now, let's say this is a conflict for you. Hey, I already have a something set up for Independence Day. All you can do is remove that, add another play node here, and now you have a custom only message which you can play only for the officers, not the holiday settings, without changing anything from the holiday settings page. So you can say currently we are out of office on an offsite. We will be back tomorrow 9 a.m. Whatever you want to type here and just update that. And that would change your office hours timings completely. And if it is a general change, it's not a particular day, but you're trying to, let's say, change for everything, all you have to do is come here and change the clock. Of course, we could have given a time clock here. Right now, it's a 24-hour clock that you can set up, but you have to manually type this out. But yeah, we will be providing a drop down here to select a clock. Okay. But yeah, this is how you can set up, change your office hours here. Then let's
Prashant,
go.
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Just a time check. We are 40 minutes past.
Yeah, we're almost done. This is the last
Okay.
thing. Okay.
Sure.
Then you have audio
I
file.
just
This is the last item. So audio file uploads, like I showed, right? Mostly you will be using the menu or the play notes. In either ones, wherever you have text, you always have an audio option. And like I said, MP3 you can upload directly. If you're using .wav files, then there is a telephonic configuration which you can use. We mentioned it on our CPaaS platform. I don't know if it's there. You can ask our support team also. There's the audio preparation uh, page here. So this is how we would need the .wav file to be. Only then it will play in the platform. So easiest way, my suggestion is use MP3 files, which you can directly upload and start playing. Okay. So that actually ends most of the checklist. Campaign assignment I've already discussed. You have to go to the campaign. In the drop down, you can select an IVR flow. So I think we've covered most of the basics here. And let's see what questions you have so we can answer them. So I'll stop the share temporarily. Let's see. What questions are there. Let's see the Q&A. Is the drag and drop applicable for outbound IVR also? Yes, even in the outbound IVR, you can use the same way. If you are using an IVR dialer, you created an IVR design, you just select that IVR, same like I showed for inbound campaigns. Will text option will be converted as audio file? Yes, that's what the text to speech does. How is fallback skill assigned? Out of context as such, but basically in any skill, if you have a queue timeout assigned, like let's say you put queue timeout as 1 minute, then you get fallback options. In that, one of the option is skill. So you, and what it does is you will be checking for agents in another skill. Okay. So what if you select Hindi? Do we have to put Hindi translated options in menu or it gets translated? If you selected Hindi, you have to put it in Hindi Unicode format. Okay, the text has to be in Unicode format. If you don't know how to do that, then best way is just record it and upload an audio file. Okay. I see some of the users are saying they use CloudAgent.in. So if you're on apps.cloudagent.in still on our old instance, even in that, it will come up with that orange color, but still the designer works the same way. All the options I've shown are still available. More importantly, we suggest that you migrate to this instance. This is on AWS, much more, I would say, much more scalable, stable, all of that, because here we have done a lot of advanced things into this new instance. I think we've already asked all the account managers to intimate that to all of you. So that anyway is a discussion you can have with the account manager. One big question, how do I enable IVR design on my panel as I can't see it on admin? This is a simple role enablement we will have to do. Just reach out to your account manager and they will enable it for you. But please note, the moment we enable IVR design, you have access to your production IVRs. So in case you shared your admin passwords to multiple people, then you have no control on who is making what changes. So please ensure your admin credentials are limited to a few users who know how to use this, or at least you trust everybody who has the admin login. So we'll leave that judgment to you. But whenever you think you're ready to use this designer, just send a mail to your account manager and this will get enabled. Okay. Will already existing IVR available for editing? Absolutely. Yes. Existing IVRs are available for editing. So whatever our team was doing was also on the IVR design. So all of those are already there in your accounts. When the moment we enable it for you to see, you will see all the existing designs also. Suppose all agents are busy and customer is calling, what will happen in that scenario? Do we need to set flows for that, or it is by default taken as retry logic? If agents are busy and customer is calling, it goes into queue. So whatever queue handling you have done, that's how it will be done. If you have a queue timeout in your skill, you're checking with a fallback rule, all of those things will be applicable. Okay. After putting menu option, I would like to redirect it to the API. So same can be done in simple IVR flow. Yes, absolutely. So you can redirect it to an API call after putting the menu option. Usually you would want user inputs to be sent to you and your API would return back maybe a agent ID or a skill name, right? Those kind of things are already done, but we are not covering it as scope of this IVR given the nature of duration we have. But just reach out to your account manager. We can always show you how to do that. Okay. Will the session recording be shared with us? Yeah, I think so. This is being recorded and will be shared, right, Pramod? Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Unicode.
We will be recording.
Okay. If all agents are busy and call went on missed call or busy, is there automated dial-up back once the agent is free? So there is an automated callback, but this has to be configured in the designer where you hit a dialer API and insert it into an auto dialer. Okay. Uh, we are looking at making that much more easier. Okay. How can we assign IVR flow to campaign? I think I've shown this in the recording. In the recording, can you review around 25 minutes past? Go to inbound campaigns and you would see IVR flows as a drop down there. Okay. Do we have access to change the male or female voice in text features? So like I said, we are using Google Indian English. I think it's a female voice. If you want a male voice and you know some particular file or Google text to speech voice which you want, just mail it to your account manager. We will get that enabled for you. Yeah, is the designer going to be upgraded? Yes, we are going to upgrade this designer. Obviously, some of the terms are too technical. Like menu is a very technical term, right? We're looking at how do we make this more user friendly in terms of terminology also. So there is a better version coming up definitely. Yeah. For auto callback campaign, is IVR design required? Yeah, when you user misses a call, you want to have an auto callback. We are doing it through the IVR design only right now. It will be better if we get the step-by-step PPT. Yes, we are working on video tutorials and a guide for the IVR designer. We will be sharing those in to all our customers also. So the recording is not just the only thing you will get. We are creating content on this. Okay. Will there be a session for auto callback campaign as well? So there will be a session in the advanced IVR masterclass too. We will be covering that up.
Prashant, there was a question in chat window during the start itself. So
Okay.
it's from one of the audience. The question reads like this: using holiday tag by default means holiday on a given date, or there is another design involved in the icon?
Holiday on a given date. So you select all the dates you want as holidays. Like, see, we know August 15th, Jan 26th are definite holidays, right? You can by default add those 2 dates and keep it under your holiday settings. They are set forever. And if you have other holidays which are fixed, like Christmas is a fixed holiday, Pongal, it's a fixed 14th or 15th Jan. If it's a weekday, you can keep it as a holiday, right? So looking at your holiday calendar for the year, you can design it at the start of the year itself and what are your holidays. And all of those would be just date selection there. There's no additional logic required. All you're doing is if the date is found, then what is the message you want to play? Enabling IVR design tool, I think, is the biggest question. So I'm repeating that process again. Contact your key account manager. If you don't have a key account manager or a relationship manager at all, just mail support. Second thing is a caution check on your side. How many people have access to your admin ID and password? Because once we enable IVR design, you are responsible for the production IVR design. So anybody meddling up with the IVR, you should know they know how to use this and they know what the impact is on production. So please ensure that enabling it just is very easy for us, so we can enable it anytime. Just send out the request and we'll enable. Any other questions we didn't answer?
Prashant, there is one question.
To analyze your
is there
Okay, so there is a question on analytics of the IVR design as such. So we are already working in pipeline for a cradle to grave journey reporting, which should cover most of this metrics on IVR design also. Currently, we provide IVR hangups report, that I know. But what happens to number of calls in IVR, how many calls dropped in the IVR, these kind of metrics are not available right now. We do custom reports for it right. So instead of that, we are looking to productize that. That should be available as well in the new product. How to set thank you message or transfer to a feedback flow after agent disconnects the call. So for this last question, that's slightly advanced. In the transfer node, actually, the failed node, once an agent disconnects the call, it lands on the failed node. So Pramod, can I still go ahead share my screen again?
Yes, please, Prashant, please do.
So I think you can see my screen now. Now let's say your agent has answered the call. It is always on the success node. Okay. So the way we know agent has answered is if an agent disconnects the call, it lands here. If I have not configured anything here, it means that the call default, it cleans up the code and call disconnects. But let's say you want to play something to the user after agent disconnects, like you want to collect something from the user, like in a basic IVR feedback, like, are you happy, not? So that's another menu. Just put it on the success node. Success node is when your agent has actually connected to the call, right? So now here you play back saying, please rate us on a scale of 1 to 5 how you found our service, for example. Okay. So it's a simple rating which I'm taking from the user. But now when I add the menu, right, I have to expect 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, all 5 options that come from the user. Okay. And if you want to track this in the report, right, there is something called as track point. I didn't cover this. We left this for the advanced version, but basically use this track point. This actually goes into your IVR feedback report. I think some of you might have seen this. So my input value is the menu data here, okay, which is coming up. Menu data is nothing but that node name. Then output value one, I want to say poor service, for example. Okay. So that's how I'm updating this. So while user entered one, in my report, I will see this as a feedback saying poor. If you want a better terminology, just change it. Maybe my English is not so good, right? So maybe you want to see it in the report as poor service. So that's what we report there for option one on the IVR feedback. If it is option two, now put a separate track node. I know this looks slightly complicated right now. Like I said, we were building the designs for you right now. So we're trying to simplify this. We might have a separate node just for feedback design. So you will see a lot of simplification happening on this going forward. But as of now, this is how you can create it. You can still create it, but yeah, like this. So any other questions when reporting of IVR is expected? I don't have a right answer currently. We have just started working on the design for it. Probably 2 months is what we are looking at. Okay. Just by gut feel, I can say about 2 months.
Okay,
For guys who
believe that
joined late, the recording is going to be shared, so you can go through the recording.
Prashant, you can stop sharing the screen. Yeah. I guess that's the end of the questions that we have. And we are also on time. We exceeded 5 minutes that for the questions, which was quite good. Cool. So I believe there are no more questions from the attendees, so that we can wrap up this session for today. Okay. Thanks,
Thank
Giju,
you.
for
Yeah.
the feedback.
Yeah. Thanks,
And
Jiju.
yeah, before we wrap up, sorry, Prashant, we have shared a link to the Google form, sorry, Microsoft Forms, to basically to get your feedback on the session, and also use that feedback in our upcoming sessions. As you all know that this would be a series of sessions that we're going to have from the product side. So please take a few minutes of your time and fill out the feedback form to us. This is going to be really helpful for us. With that, I would like to thank Prashant and also all of you who have spared your time and joined for today's session. And I believe it was quite fruitful hour for you guys. And wishing you all a good evening. Thanks, Prashant. Thanks for your help as well.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.